All right.
Let's do it.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are here today for Alex's annual IEP meeting. I am currently projecting my agenda. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I see everybody nodding in unison there. Okay, so why don't we go ahead, since we are here on Zoom, we'll do introductions and I'll start. I am Sharon. I am our admin designee for our meeting today. And I'll turn it over to our special education teacher next.
Hi, I am Jackie, and I am Alex's special education teacher.
Hey, Miss Jill.
Hi, I'm Jill. I'm the school psychologist and I see Alex for his counseling.
Okay, Miss Emily.
Hello, I'm Emily, and I am his science teacher.
Okay, and Mom.
Hi, Crystal. I'm Alex's mom. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you as well. Mom, can you see everything on the screen right now that's being projected?
I can, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Let me just take a minute to walk us through our agenda here today for Alex's annual IEP. Please know at any point if you have any questions, the purpose of this meeting is really to ensure your participation, and that as we're walking through the various documents that you have the opportunity to pause us, ask questions, and ensure that you have all of your answers, okay?
Okay, thank you, Miss Sharon.
Of course. Okay, so we're here today for Alex's annual IEP. You should have received a copy of your parents' rights and procedural safeguards with the invitation. Did you get that, Mom?
I did. Miss Jackie sent that over. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Jackie's wonderful. Do you have any questions at this time regarding your parents' rights?
No, I don't. I've gotten one of these before. Thank you, though.
Of course. Well, please know any member of this team, including myself, at any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and we're happy to sit down and talk with you regarding your parents' rights.
Thank you.
All right, so just to give a glance to what the process of our meeting will be today, we're definitely going to spend some time on Alex's strengths. We want to hear what he's doing well with from all members of the team, including yourself, Mom, and then we'll turn it over to you for your concerns. We'll take because this is an annual IEP, we're not looking at assessment results today, but we will take a look at Alex's present levels and his current goals, see how he did on those. And then we're going to talk about drafted goals, what we are proposing for the goals for the next forthcoming year. As you probably know, we meet annually, so we'll come back together in a year, but what we're sitting here and talking about today is how he's been doing on his previous goals, as well as the proposed goals for this year. And we'll hear from special education teacher, general education teacher, and our school psychologist. Then, as you can see, we'll take a look at placement and services and our offer of free and appropriate public education. We'll make sure that we have an opportunity to review those notes with you, Mom, and then look at the paperwork. And then, of course, we'll look at our consent at the end there. Okay? Any questions about that, Mom?
No, thank you for that great review.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to stop my share here so we can take the agenda off the screen. And we're going to go ahead and start with student strengths. So I'm going to turn it over to our special education teacher, to Miss Jackie. We can start with student strengths from you.
Absolutely. So, I have the opportunity to work with Alex in a couple of our classes. He is in my Learning Center Advantages class where we do some reading intervention. And then I also support him in Learning Center Math. So since we've been together and since the beginning of the year, we've had an opportunity to just build some really good rapport. He is an amazing storyteller. He's just so great with his words and really great at just being able to communicate whether it's things that has happened to him during the weekends or in the past, or again, just telling really good stories. So it's been really nice to get to know him. I've also had an opportunity to connect with some of his other teachers and of his other periods because we have Miss Emily here with us today, and I'll ask her to share in a moment. But his other teachers have also shared that he loves to participate in class, just really likes, especially he just likes making those connections with the teachers in the classroom. He also enjoys drawing. Miss Emily, as his science teacher, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yes. I would like to echo the same thing about a great rapport. He has great relationships with his peers in his class as well as myself. He really is interested in science and wants to do well. He checks his grades daily and reminds me each day about like the different assignments. He's great at taking responsibility for himself for his assignments, but as well as his actions. And he's great at self-advocacy. He's great at saying like, I need a break, or I need a moment, or I need some support. So it's been really helpful to his success in our class.
Thank you, Miss Emily. Those are some great strengths. Miss Jill?
Yeah. So Crystal, I see Alex every week for counseling individually. So he comes by himself. He didn't love coming with me the first few times I went for him. I think he didn't like the attention and being pulled out of class and being made to feel like different than everyone else, although I do see other kids in his class. But he has made such great progress and now comes willingly and works with me. So that was just a little glitch at the beginning, but he's a real good participant in counseling now.
And thank you, Miss Jill. And I will share that, he's made such great progress in the last year that he's been here with us. We've really seen just this opening up and communicating with myself as the administrator on site here. He's really, had an opportunity to express himself in positive ways. And we've really just enjoyed having him here, Mom. So thank you. Thank you for letting us have him here at the school site. We'd love to hear from you, your strengths.
I just, first of all, want to say thank you all so much for being such a wonderful team. I know that Alex can have his challenges, but I appreciate you guys sticking with him and keeping consistent with making sure that he knows what's expected of him. I think that is when he excels the most, is when he knows that the team that's supporting him knows that they're there for him, they care for him, and he loves coming to school now, you guys, and I'm just so happy to hear that from him.
Thank you so much, Miss Crystal. We appreciate that. And just know we're taking notes. As we're discussing, we really like to look at student strengths and how we can best help support, Alex moving into the future. So of course, we also want to address any concerns that you might have. So at this time, if you want to share any concerns.
I don't really know that I have a major concern. It's just more so I see on his report card and his progress reports that he does have an excessive amount of tardies. So I just want to make sure that we're getting those on track, and that he's arriving to class on time.
Okay, and we'll definitely address those concerns throughout the meeting. And please know, if at any point throughout the course of the meeting, if there are additional concerns that you have, please do feel free to, bring those forward so we can address them. We really want to ensure that this is a collaborative effort in the process of developing his IEP.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So then we're going to step into our present levels, and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Jackie, our special education teacher.
Yes, thank you. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about how Alex is doing currently academically in his different areas. So I think one of the things that we've heard is how much he's developed just with his social and emotional development and how much he's grown in that area. And attributed to that is he's getting a lot more of the academic support that he really did need. And this was something last year, Crystal, we talked about in his initial evaluation, we talked about a lot of the challenges and where he was academically. So to be able to get him back to a place where he can access his grade level content standards and what they're doing in the classroom has been a lot of our focus. So we do continue to see when he's participating in whether it's reading or math diagnostics, that he's still performing significantly below grade level. He is participating more. He is using, and I think too, his science teacher, as she indicated and shared, he is using his accommodations more. He's advocating when he needs to use his multiplication chart, his table, to be able to use other supports that he has. But he continues to score around the K1 level when we're looking at his reading and his math. While we have seen some growth, it's still not exactly where we want him to be, to be able to be consistently to making progress in his goals. He doesn't have any concerns related to his communication, his gross motor, We'll talk about his social emotional in a minute, and there are no other concerns regarding his adaptive living skills. Crystal, I did want to just follow up with you before I proceed. Are there any concerns or any updates regarding Alex's health?
Oh, none at this time. Nothing since we've had our initial IEP meeting.
Okay, great. So now when I'm going into, I'm looking at his present levels, I'm looking at his previous goals. Alex did have a goal to support his reading and decoding with CVC words. Again, we're not quite there yet. Part of, and I think this echoes your concern about his tardies, is getting to this class has been a little bit more challenging for Alex. I think he recognizes that that initial reading is really hard for him, and it was something that he struggled with last year. So this is a class that oftentimes he is intentionally tardy to, because he doesn't want to always participate in the intervention. So he's not always getting there to be able to practice his decoding. Similarly, he has a reading, listening, comprehension goal, so that he can verbally indicate what the main idea is of a text. And he can do this, actually. He is able to do it, but in a more unstructured way. When we sit down to try to get him to participate in this task, that's where he has a little bit more difficulty. So he's not able to demonstrate it in the way that we need in order to take the data. But when we are having just general conversations about stories or things we're reading, he is able to do that. Miss Emily, can you add a little bit more about what his comprehension has been like in science class? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. I have seen him use a couple of the accommodations to help with the comprehension. We have to definitely break things down into small chunks for him. He has access on the Chromebooks of a Read Write app, which has been helping him with his speech to writing, speech to text, which has been really helpful, as well as implementing all of his accommodations, which is why he's had success within being able to complete the 6 assignments that we've had. He's completed all of them. One he's actually finishing. So I think by chunking that small material has helped him with his comprehension in science.
Thank you. And I think this goes along too, as Miss Emily was sharing, we do have the opportunity for Alex to use a program we call Read Write that allows him to use text to speech and speech to text. He's been really good about accessing it. But again, I think where Alex has a little bit more difficult time for like his written expression goal is he'll use speech to text to be able to write a full sentence with additional details, so a paragraph. So he likes to write about what he likes to write about, so things that are more preferred. And again, we see him able to use the speech to text app, but when we ask him for something a little more structured, like making an introduction or a claim and adding very specific details, that's where he has a little bit more of a difficult time. And based on just our observations and data, it doesn't seem so much as a he can't do it as much as it's he might not want to do it. So it seems more of a behavioral thing rather than a skill thing. Crystal, are you kind of seeing the same thing at home when it comes to like his homework?
I am, and I was actually going to just ask the team and really you, Miss Jackie, just anything that I can do to support this at home. I'm definitely willing and open to do that. I'm just, I'm not in your field. So any suggestions and support that you guys can offer so that I'm definitely working on some of these goals at home. I'm definitely open to it too. And I know we'll get there. But I know that I definitely need to support him at home with some of these as well. And I'd love to do that.
Absolutely. And what we could do too is after this meeting, maybe we can set up a time where you and I can go over just some strategies and maybe even how to use the read write, what that might look like. So we can talk a little bit more thoroughly and talk about how to be able to help support at home as well. Would that be okay with you?
Absolutely. And I'd appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Great. So I think moving forward now with his math, again, he had a math calculation goal to fluently add and subtract, as well as a math problem solving goal with given single word problems. So again, both of these goals were not met this previous year. It is something that we want to really look at when we're examining how we can help support him this upcoming year to be able to move towards meeting these goals, because it is concerning that we're not seeing as much academic progress as we would like. Again, we did see a lot of his growth with his social and emotional ability to regulate himself, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I think now that we've had a year to be able to help support in those areas, we've really built some rapport. Coming to middle school has been a big jump for him. That's been a big leap. I think that we can now start to help push him forward a little bit more. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about, well, before we actually move forward, Crystal, do you have any questions about his previous goals and just where his present levels are in those academic areas?
No, not at all. I think you kind of hit all of those just right on point with exactly how Alex is functioning in all of these areas. So I appreciate that. It was a good summary.
And I think
Oh.
for ease of the team, if you're okay, Mom, we'll go with the present levels, how he was doing on last year's goals and proposed goals. And then, so we'll kind of stay with Miss Jackie right now, and then we'll move over to Miss Jill, our school psychologist. Are you okay with that format?
Absolutely. Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go over now then, as Ms. Sharon indicated, we'll go over some proposed goals. So again, going back to where he was working on reading and decoding, we want to continue to help support this. We want him to be able to continue to practice reading CVC words and him to practice and access this reading intervention program. But we're also going to throw in irregular and high frequency words and increase his automaticity. We want him to start blending, segmenting, deleting words, and so increasing his phonemic awareness skills. I indicated before he was having some challenges with just getting to this class, and to address your concerns with regards to his tardies, which a lot of them have come from this class, we're going to go ahead and make some adjustments to his behavior intervention plan and his accommodations just to increase his motivation to attend this class. And I think a good checking in about this particular period will also be really helpful to help motivate him so that he can access his reading intervention. And then also, hopefully, we can see a decrease in those tardies. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So at this moment, anyone who's watching, we would go over the rest of his SAI goals. So for the sake of time, we are going to indicate that we did go over, the additional SAI goals of math and whatnot. And now we're going to go ahead and proceed with the next part. So continuing, Ms. Crystal, do you have any questions about those academic goals we presented and how we plan to move forward?
No, thank you. I think that is a great plan for Alex moving forward. And I can't wait to see the success he's able to make after we've implemented a lot of those revisions to his behavior intervention plan.
Great, thank you. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jill, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about counseling.
Yeah, so Crystal, he came to us with 2 counseling goals. They actually were written very similarly. So I can just talk about, I'm going to kind of highlight what they came with. But what we really wanted him to do was increase his social skills and his ability to kind of handle frustrating situations by, when he's in counseling, talking about what triggers him, and then create a menu of, okay, and when I'm triggered by this, what can I do? What are my coping strategies? And those are listed as deep breathing, asking for a break, positive self-talk, walking away. And so he absolutely can look back on what's happened in his week and say, this made me so mad. This made me so frustrated. So he can identify those triggers. His second goal asked him to also identify what was happening in his body. Because if he can recognize that and the changes that are happening, then he can know, okay, I'm about to feel a strong emotion. What can I do about it? And he can he also is able to say, he says his heart starts to beat when he starts to feel those strong emotions. And so he can do that. And with some prompting, he can come up with some coping strategies. His go-to coping strategy is take a break, which is great. Sometimes he will take that break on his own without asking permission to do that. So it's good that he knows I need to get out of here and reset myself a little bit, but we want him to start to be able to tell his teacher, ask his teacher, or have a signal that, so she'll know or he'll know that he's taking a break. So he did meet those two counseling goals. And then what I want to propose, so the thing is, he does a really good job after the fact, right? Being able to kind of deconstruct what happened. And I really want to work with him. Sorry, I'm scrolling through to find my new goal. I really want to work with him on being able to be a little more proactive so that he doesn't have an outburst or he isn't just walking out of the room. Sorry, let me find it. So his new goal, if I can find it, hold on one second. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I almost want to do like a graphic organizer with him. So I have some steps set up so that we can talk about when these things happen, what are the steps you're going to take? Because what I want him to do is start to make a change in his behavior before the outburst, right? So I want to still identify those changes in his body, know what's triggering him, but then I want him to make a plan so that, and then I want him also to know if this is a plan he can act on by himself or does he need an adult to help him? So just really having some concrete steps of how he's going to manage himself when he has those really strong emotions. And so obviously we'll start by doing a lot of prompting and then kind of getting to a place where he's more independent. So does that sound okay to you?
I think that sounds amazing and actually something that I can see myself working on at home with him as well.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, he's great with it after the fact, but in that moment, it's really hard to kind of break through.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
And
Oh.
I think that ties in well. Oh, sorry, Miss Sharon. I was going to tie into his behavior goals because I think that's a really good bridge. The work that Jill has been doing with him all year has been really helpful to be able to help support him in the areas of behavior. So one of his first goals with relation to his behavior was to be able to request a break. And so instead of engaging in some of those problem behaviors, those verbal outbursts, he's going to use his words or also nonverbal cues to request a timed break. The goal was written in 90% of the opportunities. So because of that particular benchmark, Alex did not meet his goal. But again, I don't want to take that to take away for how much progress he actually has made. So currently he's at about anywhere from 70 to 80% of opportunities in a given week. Again, where we were last year when we first began, it was roughly about 15 to 20%. So we have seen a significant increase of his ability to just ask for more breaks and have less verbal outbursts. And we're also seeing the verbal outbursts, I think, differently in different classes. So Miss Emily, if you don't mind sharing, I know we've talked about how he actually doesn't have as many outbursts in your class, and we've seen that decrease. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. He has a one-to-one that has a very good relationship with him. They've built a really strong rapport. And so because he has a lot of the coping strategies that he's been given, he is able to ask for a break before the verbal outbursts, or he's at even the one-to-one kind of notices, or I do based on his body language. If I see that there might be something that's escalated, and then they do end up, leaving the room to give himself a break. And then once he's calm, he comes back. I do notice over time, since the beginning of the year, his times that he's out of the class, like to de-escalate or give himself time, have lessened. A lot of times he'll come back within anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, which is great. So he can integrate himself right back in with the classwork and continue where he left off.
And Miss Emily, if you don't correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Alex has expressed that he really enjoys science.
Yes, science he's very into, especially because we do a lot of group projects and a lot of simulations. So Alex loves those pieces of it where he can engage with his peers and have a lot of conversation around science and the hands-on. So I think all of that really plays to his strengths of being so verbal, that supports him within being an active group member.
Great, thank you. The second behavior goal was related to increasing Alex's appropriate behavior. So in a 30-minute period, when he gets access to his breaks, he's going to stay on task, work on assigned work for 70% of the time. Again, we're working here to be able to also increase his independence, so not so much relying on his additional one-to-one support, but more what he can do independently on his own. So the goal was written for 70%. Alex is at about 50% right now. Again, we also see some variances across different subjects. So that's definitely something that we want to look at a little bit more closely and just see how we can help support him with some of those things that just are a little bit harder for Alex, like his language arts class, his history class, and the reading intervention. This really is similar to what we were seeing before, where reading is significantly hard for Alex. And so those content subject areas, those periods that have a lot more reading and writing tend to be where he demonstrates some more behavior challenges. So again, we've seen an increase. He's working sometimes 10, 20 minutes, but again, we're not fully there where we want to be. Ms. Crystal, do you have any questions about those goals?
No, and I think like the team said, he's made a lot of progress, and I definitely see that, and I'm okay with him not meeting those goals just yet because I know he's definitely on the right track.
Yeah, thank you. And I think with that being said, those are the goals that we want to continue to hone in on. We want to continue to help support him in those areas. He still has a behavior intervention plan. So our goal continues to be for him to be able to request a break. We still have some very high expectations for him to be able to return to his task after asking for a break and not engaging in those verbal outbursts. Similarly, we want to be able to help support him with his on-task behavior. Right now he's getting a lot of consistent one-to-one redirection and support. So again, our goal is to be able to help him be more independent and within a 30-minute work period, while he does have access to breaks, we want him to participate, just like the rest of the class with the class directions, and again, removing the need for someone to constantly prompt him. And so we do want to make sure that he's participating at least 70% of the time. Do those goals sound okay with you?
Absolutely, and I think they make sense and align with everything the team's been talking about today.
Prior to this, Miss Jill sent you the draft of his behavior intervention plan. I know you guys had a brief opportunity to just talk about it previously. And again, that behavior plan was in collaboration with really the entire team. We checked in with his general education teachers. We had an opportunity to connect with other just staff that interact with him outside in the hallways. So I know that you had an opportunity to talk a little bit about that. Ms. Jill, was there anything you wanted to highlight from the behavior plan?
Well, just that we're definitely taking data so we can see what we want to see is a decrease in those targeted behaviors, right? And if we get to a point where they've really been extinguished, then we can take that out of the plan as needed. And we'll just kind of keep you in the loop as to how that progress is going.
Okay.
Chris, do you want us to go over anything in the behavior plan specifically? Did you have any questions about that?
No, I think it all makes sense. It's very similar to previously. I know you guys are targeting elopement, verbal outburst, inappropriate physical contact with peers. So I think that all continues to still make sense as he's still learning, how to use those coping skills in the moment.
Thank you, team. Mom, I'm gonna, excuse me. I'm gonna take this opportunity to bring us back to our agenda. So hopefully I'm sharing the right doc. How are you seeing the agenda back on your screen again? Okay, wonderful. You're on mute, Mom, but I can thank you for nodding in affirmation. So we've had an opportunity now to go through how Alex did on last year's goals, excuse me, as well as the proposed goals for this year. And it sounds like we're all in agreement with moving forward with the proposed goals from the team, including the academic, counseling, and I'm going to drink water for a moment here.
Please, yes.
Not sure what just happened there.
Oh.
But we're going to talk about now just the placement and the service options. So this essentially at this point, Mom, we've had the opportunity to review how we did last year and review the proposed goals for this year, as well as the behavior intervention plan. As was noted in the meeting today, Alex does have the support of a one-on-one, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But when we step into our, placement and service options, we also look at accommodations. So we'll give an opportunity really to just kind of tie this all together and show you how we're supporting Alex with respect to these goals and what the services are looking like, and what they're going to continue to look like as our proposed IEP here for the duration of this next school year. So I may turn to the team for service minutes, just corroboration here, but Alex does currently have the support of a one-on-one instructional assistant throughout the course of his day. And the purpose for that is in order to ensure that we are meeting the goals as indicated. We know from prior assessments, including a functional behavioral assessment, that Alex really does need that additional support at this time in order to access his school site accommodations and access and make progress towards his goals. So in addition to that, he is receiving specialized academic instruction for 3 periods of the school day, and that is for specialized academic instruction in math, specialized academic instruction in English language arts, and then he also participates in our Sunday reading intervention class. That's the Advantages class, and that's in order, again, for us to support the academic goals on his IEP and make that continued progress. So I'm just going to turn to the team here for a confirmation on those minutes and what that looks like on his IEP service page in terms of SAI.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you wanted to continue sharing screen or.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that off at this time. Thank you.
No problem. Yes, that's absolutely correct. So we're still recommending for him to continue with Learning Center support services, for Alex to be able to get support in those areas as previously indicated. I will also add that that one-to-one support and being in the Learning Center for those multiple periods will also help support with Alex's accommodations. Alex continues to have a lot of accommodations because of where he is right now and just some of those academic challenges. So again, I know I provided you, we had talked about some of those accommodations, and a lot of these are carried over from his previous IEP, having a copy of his notes, frequent breaks. We mentioned that speech to text, text to speech, having access to a calculator, several accommodations for math, manipulatives, graphic organizers. But also we integrated some of the strategies from his behavior plan, like verbal de-escalation strategies, offering a choice, opportunities to choose alternate assignments, being able to rework missed problems for a better grade, shortening assignments, as well as modifying his homework for him to be able to have homework that's more at his independent reading. So those services are also included in his IEP. And then I'll go ahead and turn it over to Miss Jill. We'll talk a little bit more about her services.
Yeah, I think, sorry. So I don't know that you hear that. The bell just rang very loudly on my end. So yeah, he's going to continue with individual counseling, 120 minutes a month. So really about a half an hour a week. And we'll just continue to work on I think that's a good amount for him to meet his goal and continue to make progress, if that's okay with you, Mom.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Mom, do you have any questions on those proposed services then at this time, as well as the accommodations that Miss Jackie spoke to?
No, not at this time. It doesn't sound like any of that is changing, and it's going to continue to remain the same to continue to see his growth and support.
Okay, and I also,
And oh, go
go
for
ahead,
it.
Ms. Jackie.
Oh, I was just going to say, along that line with his services, we do continue to recommend that he would benefit from extended school year when taking a look at some factors about how long it takes him to recuperate skills when he's learning, as well as some of the regression we see after a break. So when he goes on an extended break, like our spring break or our summer breaks or winter break, we do see that he needs some time to recuperate some of those skills that he may have lost over those times. So we do think it would be beneficial for him to attend extended school year as he did this past summer. And with that support, would continue to receive that one-to-one support, and then as well as his individual counseling. Does that sound okay with you, Crystal? And how was that summer experience for you this year?
It was amazing. Alex spoke wonders of his summer school teacher and was excited to go to summer school, which is amazing and a plus.
That's really great to hear. So as Ms. Jackie was saying, that is essentially what our districts offer free and appropriate public education is. Now, this breakdown of services and support, just so you know, on the IEP documentation, once you do receive it, you will see a breakdown of the amount of time that Alex is in general education, as well as the time that he is out in special education classes. So right now, his breakdown is 58% of the day he is in general education and 42% of the day he is in special education. Any questions about that aspect of the IEP and what his day is looking like?
No, thank you.
Of course, and of course, he does have that one-to-one instructional support throughout the course of his day, both in the general education classes as well as the special education classes. So just to also review some of the additional documents in the IEP, one page that I want to ensure that we definitely speak to is the statewide assessments page. You know, Alex is in middle school, so this is a topic that we definitely want to address every year. We want to ensure that we are speaking very clearly to what those statewide assessments look like, as well as the supports that Alex will receive while he is taking the statewide assessments. So Ms. Jackie, do you want to just talk a little bit about those?
Yes. Again, this is in collaboration from input from all of his teachers as well that help support Alex is when he is participating in the test, we would like for him both in language arts and math that he continue to have access to text-to-speech as well as speech to text so that he has multiple ways to be able to interact with the test. Separate setting for him to be able to take a test in a quieter environment, and then particularly for the math that he has access to his hundreds number table as well as his multiplication table. Okay. And then with that being said, also in consideration, we do have a special factors page when it comes to Alex. So we do acknowledge that he does need some additional supports like access to read write for him to be able to access his academics. So that text to speech and speech to text is definitely a form of assistive technology to be able to access his current grade level. In addition to that, also, because we do know that Alex does have behaviors that is impacting him, like his eloping or those verbal outbursts, we did include, as previously we indicated, behavior goals and a behavior intervention plan to help support him in his day. Any questions, Ms. Crystal?
No, thank you, team. I appreciate the time you took to really just go in depth during this meeting. Thank you.
Absolutely. And one, you know, additional component that I want to bring to your attention, we do have an emergency circumstances plan within our IEP. The purpose of this plan is, should we ever have to go into any type of, you know, lockdown, knock on wood, never happens again, but we do want to be prepared. So within the context of the IEP documentation, you will see a page that details and outlines just what that would look like to ensure that there is consistency of coverage and support for Alex. A lot of that is very similar to the accommodations that we've previously noted and indicated You know, and again, if we did have to go into a lockdown, we would be shifting into a virtual or other type of mode of supporting within the IEP. Any questions about that, Mom?
No, no, that makes sense. And then we're just going to keep knocking on wood that that doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. So again, just in summation, you know, there's been a lot of talk here today, and we completely acknowledge, you know, this is a lot of information that we're bringing forward. So again, please know any questions that you have at any point, you know, please feel free to reach out to us. But I'm going to throw a little more jargon your way. But the district official offer of free and appropriate public education, FAPE, in the least restrictive environment, the LRE, is the Learning Center, SAI, we just renamed it, SAI for 2 periods a day, in addition to our Sunday Advantages classroom, along with the one-to-one support, the one-to-one instructional assistance support, as well as the DIS counseling services. And as Ms. Jackie also explained about extended school year, that's also part of our direct offer of FAPE for Alex in order to meet his specific goals and needs.
And I apologize, I just want to clarify that it's for 3 Learning Center classes, the math, language arts, and the reading intervention period.
Wonderful.
Thank you. All right, so that being said, we have taken notes throughout the course of our meeting today. Would you like to review those notes in writing? Oh,
Not at this time. I normally just review them when you guys send them on over, so I appreciate that.
okay. Again, as you get a copy of the IEP, let us know if you'd like us to send that over to you as a digital copy, or you prefer a copy going home in Alex's backpack.
Oh, I normally do e-sign with Miss Jackie, and that's worked wonderfully.
Okay, then I'll let you connect with Miss Jackie about setting up that e-sign.
Absolutely. And then as well as before we proceed, Ms. Crystal, I just wanted to ask if you felt like you were a meaningful part of our IEP today and if all of your questions and concerns were addressed.
Absolutely. And I feel like you guys do such a wonderful job of just keeping me in the loop, just normally, just as a part of Alex's school day. So this meeting, again, there was nothing different that came up. And I just think it's just a really good summary of Alex and his progress. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Mom. We really appreciate your time today, and just be on the lookout for that e-signature from Miss Jackie. And, you know, again, please just reach out to us with any questions that you might have.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.